Hello everyone and welcome to my The Bold Fans channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. According to The Bold and the Beautiful BNB spoilers, Deacon Sharp's, Sean Cannon, choice to ask Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, to marry him may land him in more difficulty than he anticipated. If Taylor agrees, their engagement might cause all kinds of issues, including a terrible wedding day. With that in mind, let us analyze how Taylor and Deacon's wedding could go wrong. Here are 3 scenarios in which Deacon and Taylor's engagement could end in disaster. 1. Does Taylor become a runaway bride? For instance, Taylor may get cold feet and leave before the ceremony begins. Taylor could suddenly realize she is not ready to marry Deacon, especially if individuals like Steffi Forrester Finnegan, Jacqueline McInnes Wood, and Ridge Forrester Torsten Kay continue to think it is a mistake. Taylor might become a runaway bride and break Deacon's heart, allowing Sheila Carter, Kimberlyn Brown, to console her former flame. 2. Does Sheila disrupt the wedding and incite chaos? Of course, there's a chance Sheila will crash the event and cause major BNB drama. Even if Sheila simply says she's coming to wish the couple well on their wedding day, her arrival could cause some unwanted chaos. It's even feasible that Sheila will make a last-ditch attempt to cancel the wedding and persuade Deacon to return to her. Sheila's behavior is impetuous and unpredictable at times, so she cannot be counted out as a threat to the wedding. 3. Does Steffi and Hope's disagreement wreck their wedding ceremony? If this wedding goes ahead, Steffi and Hope Logan Spencer, Annika Noel, will have to attend the ceremony together. There's no getting around the fact that Deacon is Hope's father and Taylor is Steffi's mother. Hope and Steffi's feud might become a problem if the tensions escalate. Even if Steffi and Hope make it through Taylor and Deacon's vows, they could still cause havoc at the reception. According to The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers, Deacon and Taylor's wedding could go horribly wrong depending on what awful news is on the way, so stay tuned. The gentle California evening light poured through the Cliff House's big windows as Deacon Sharp sank to one knee in front of Taylor Hayes. The ocean below slammed against the rocks in a steady pace that mirrored his heartbeat. In his hand was a modest yet lovely ring, selected not for its size but for the calm promise it contained. Taylor's eyes widened. For a long time, she could only look, the weight of everything that had brought them here settling about her shoulders like a familiar coat that still didn't fit properly. She'd been Ridge's almost wife more than she cared to remember. She'd raised children with him, experienced losses alongside him, and seen him return to Brooke on a regular basis that felt like destiny but was now a cycle she refused to repeat. Deacon was different. He'd stepped into her office, broken by Sheila's falsehoods and the consequences of Luna's misdeeds, and something real had taken root in the cautious space between doctor and patient. They'd fought it. They had attempted to be sensible. They had failed miserably and thoroughly in the guest room when Steffi and Finn were absent. Now that the divorce was final and Sheila's grasp had lessened, if not completely broken, Deacon offered her a future that was only theirs. Taylor said yes. The word escaped her lips before caution could recapture it. Deacon stood, put the ring on her finger, and kissed her with such affection that the rest of the world faded away. For a few blissful hours, they allowed themselves to hope that love could finally be enough. It never appears on The Bold and the Beautiful. What follows are 3 possible paths for engagement, each with a different shade of horror but all rooted in the same dangerous truth. Sheila Carter will not give up the people she claims as her own, and Taylor Hayes has spent her life learning that the men she loves are rarely safe for long. In the initial version of the disaster, the engagement is made public within days. Hope expresses cautious happiness for her father. Steffi isn't. She arrives to the Cliff House, Finn trailing after her, the stress from their recent trip to Monaco still obvious in her shoulders. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't need to. The phrases she uses are precise and frigid. "You are marrying a man whose wife has tried to kill more people than I can count on both hands," Steffi said. "You endanger all of us by refusing to be alone. I will not watch my children grow up in the shadow of Sheila Carter because my mother was unable to walk away from another damaged guy." Taylor attempts to explain that Deacon is now free, that the divorce is permanent, and that people may change. Steffi merely looks at her with the same gaze she had when she realized the truth about Thomas's machinations. Sheila doesn't change. Wait. And when she decides the waiting is over, someone ends up bleeding. The conflict concludes with Steffi walking out, taking the grandchildren with her for the weekend, and leaving the distinct message that Taylor may face lengthier separations if he continues. Deacon comforts Taylor as she cries, vowing that they will find a way to keep the family together. He means it. He has always kept the vows he made to the ladies he loves. The trouble is that simply meaning them has never been enough to prevent the consequences. Sheila hears about the engagement the same night. She does not yell or throw glass. She sits motionless in the tiny apartment she has been forced to occupy after the divorce, staring at a photograph of herself and Deacon on their wedding day. Her smile back then was genuine. The affection she felt was genuine. The betrayal that she now nurses is also real. She eventually moves to open a drawer that has been locked since the day the documents were signed. Inside lies a little pointy tool she had saved for crises that have never materialized until now. She does not confront Taylor immediately. Instead, she starts to appear in places she shouldn't be. A figure at the edge of the parking lot near Taylor's office. An automobile that stays too long near the Cliff residence. Taylor received a bunch of white roses at his door, with no card and only the faint aroma of the perfume Sheila had always preferred. Deacon notices the pattern right away and attempts to tell the authorities, but Sheila has become adept at staying just outside the reach of restraining orders. She is no longer the impulsive killer she once was. She is patient. She is methodical. She is waiting for the ideal moment when Taylor is alone, and the engagement is still vulnerable enough to be shattered with a single well-placed slash. The wedding is scheduled for a private ceremony at the Cliff home, small enough so that Steffi's persistent absence will not be noticeable. Taylor tries on dresses. Deacon practices the words he will say. Hope helps with the flowers. On the morning of the ceremony, Taylor stands in front of the mirror, adjusting the clasp of the necklace Deacon gave her, when she spots a shadow walk across the hallway behind her reflection. She turns. Sheila is already inside the house, and the locked door is no longer an issue. She holds the knife she's been carrying for weeks. Her tone is almost kind when she speaks. You took him from me, Sheila says. I am only taking something from you in return. What happens next is never really evident in the turmoil that ensues. There is yelling. There's the sound of glass smashing. Deacon arrives too late, and blood has already stained Taylor's white silk dress. The question of Taylor's survival lingers over the entire canvas for months, with the engagement ending not in a shattered heart, but in the literal threat of death that has always accompanied Sheila Carter like a second shadow. The second way to terror is quieter and perhaps more damaging. In this form, the engagement remains intact. Sheila is restrained, at least temporarily, by a combination of legal pressure and Finn's reluctant intervention. Steffi softens enough to attend the ceremony, but her grin never fully reaches her eyes. The wedding is held on a clear afternoon overlooking the ocean. Taylor wears an outfit that evokes a second chance. Deacon looks at her as if she were the only firm ground in a life that has shifted too many times. They exchange vows that express their desire to see each other clearly and choose honesty after years of confusing loyalties. It almost works for a few days of bright sunshine. The cracks begin to appear in places neither of them imagined. Deacon still owns Il Giardino. The restaurant has always been more than just a business. It is where he goes to rebuild himself after each fall. Taylor supports him, but she is also a psychiatrist with a demanding profession and a family that views her recent marriage as a transitory rather than permanent arrangement. The late nights at the restaurant became longer. The debate over time and priority intensifies. Taylor arrives at Il Giardino one evening to surprise her husband, only to find him in the back office with a young waiter who is laughing too freely at something he has said. Nothing inappropriate has transpired. Deacon's expression when he sees Taylor is one of panic, as if he understands how easily appearances may destroy everything. Taylor departs without speaking. At home, she sits on the side of their shared bed, staring at the ring on her finger. She had been the other woman. She has been the woman left behind. She has never been the lady who walks into a room and sees her spouse looking remorseful over something that should not have mattered. When Deacon follows her home, the battle that ensues is not over the server. It concerns every unsolved aspect of their past. It is about Sheila's continuous presence on the periphery of their lives. It's about Steffi's unwavering coldness and Hope's careful balance. It's about how Deacon still flinches when someone brings up the years he spent defending a woman who attempted to destroy everyone he cared about. In the heat of the dispute, Deacon says something he can never take back. He admits that he sometimes wonders if they moved too quickly, if the depth of their connection was simply the result of two broken marriages rather than the start of a new one. Taylor becomes quite still. The words fall between them like a diagnosis that neither of them wishes to embrace. She doesn't yell. She just takes off the ring, puts it on the nightstand, and asks him to go for the night so she can think. He did not return the following morning, or the morning after. When he eventually returns, it's with the news that Sheila has been in an accident, or claims to have been, and she needs him in a way that awakens every old protective instinct. Taylor sees him approach her and realizes, with the clarity of cold water, that the engagement was never going to last given the gravity of their individual histories. The terror here isn't about blood or violence. It is the gradual awareness that certain loves are founded on shared injury rather than shared healing, and that choosing each other was never going to be enough to keep them from becoming the people they were before. The third way feels most natural to anyone who has followed these people for years. In this rendition, the interaction moves forward with determined optimism. Taylor and Deacon plan a grander wedding, inviting their entire extended family in an attempt to force reconciliation through festivity. Brooke is gracious. Ridge is cautiously neutral. Steffi attends in protest. Sheila is not invited, of course, but being excluded has never stopped her before. On the day of the event, the Cliff House is adorned with flowers and soothing music. Taylor stands in the upper bedroom, surrounded by her daughters, hoping that this time will be different. Outside, Deacon waits with Hope and Deke, his children providing quiet support while exchanging glances that imply they are bracing for impact. The guests take their seats. The music starts. Taylor begins to down the stairs on Thomas's arm, her heart beating with a mixture of hope and residual anxiety. She is halfway to Deacon when the first scream pierces the air. Sheila did not break into the residence. She has done something far more premeditated. She has contacted every major soap outlet and leaked a carefully curated version of events. The therapist who slept with her married patient, the engagement that began before the divorce papers were even signed, and Taylor's history of professional boundary violations, which she can no longer fully deny. The tale spreads at the speed of scandal. Phones begin to light up among the guests. Whispers begin. Someone from the press has managed to get past security and is now recording from the property's edge. Taylor froze on the steps. Deacon advances closer her. Before either of them can respond, Steffi is on her feet, not to defend her mother, but to face the fact that this marriage will never be peaceful. The ceremony devolves into anarchy. Just leave. The press multiplies. By the evening, the engagement is no longer a private commitment between two individuals seeking to create something new. It is a public spectacle, the most recent episode in a long line of Forrester and Sharp calamities that have been examined by every entertainment website and soapbox in existence. The pressure builds up over the next few days. Taylor's practice suffers as patients question her decisions. Deacon's restaurant sees an influx of curious customers who are more interested in the drama than the cuisine. Sheila observes the aftermath from a safe distance, satisfied that no one abandons her without paying a price. The engagement does not conclude with a single dramatic confrontation. It ends with a quiet chat in the Cliff House's kitchen, both fatigued and realizing that the love they feel cannot withstand the relentless erosion of public judgment and private doubt. They agree to take a step back. The ring was returned. The wedding is cancelled. The horror is knowing that they will never be given a fresh start, that the past will always find a way to claim the present, and that some disasters are not explosions but the slow, inevitable collapse of something that could have been beautiful if the world had simply looked away. Any of these routes might begin the instant Deacon lays the ring on Taylor's finger. According to soap history, the most painful option is frequently the one that comes with the least warning and causes the greatest long-term damage. Deacon and Taylor have discovered something genuine in each other, a recognition that transcends the typical cycles of passion and betrayal. The canvas has yet to respond if that recognition is powerful enough to withstand the specific brand of tragedy that stalks the individuals they care about. For the time being, the engagement remains a delicate declaration against the odds, both beautiful and fatal, waiting for the first crack to develop. In the sun-drenched realm of Los Angeles high society, where fashion empires rise and collapse on a single sketch and family loyalties shift quicker than the newest catwalk trend, Deacon Sharp and Taylor Hayes finally found themselves on the verge of something genuine. After months of forbidden glances across therapy sessions, stolen kisses tinged with remorse and love, and the ugly breakdown of Deacon's marriage to the most dangerous woman in town, the ring was finally offered. Taylor, still haunted by Ridge Forrester's uncertainty and the subtle anguish of seeing him choose Brooke again, had said yes. For a brief, sparkling moment, it appeared like two survivors of love's deepest betrayals may finally have their happily ever after. However, on The Bold and the Beautiful, happily ever after is usually the quiet before the storm. Deacon and Taylor's engagement has more pitfalls than any other romance on the canvas. Sheila Carter's shadow is larger than any cathedral aisle. Steffi's protective rage is coiled like a serpent. The Forrester family's intricate web of ancient scars and new friendships is about to unravel under the slightest push. And history has often demonstrated that when Deacon and Taylor attempt to claim something pure, the cosmos responds with chaos. What follows are three distinct, equally horrible scenarios for their engagement, each a catastrophic wedding disaster that would leave viewers gaping and the people permanently altered. The first path starts with the most evident and terrifying force in their orbit: Sheila. Even after signing the divorce papers with astonishing restraint, Sheila Carter does not disappear into the background. She has previously changed herself: prison, plastic surgery, and brief sanity, and each reinvention has ended in bloodshed. Consider the engagement party in Il Giardino, the restaurant Deacon constructed with his own hands, now converted into a celebration of his new beginnings. Fairy lights shimmer over tables draped in soft ivory. Hope toasts her father through tears in her eyes. Taylor stands next to Deacon in a modest champagne-colored dress, appearing lighter than she has in years. Then the door opens. Sheila enters wearing black, of course. She carries no gift, only a well-crafted smile that never reaches her eyes. The room freezes. Deacon pushes closer, voice low and urgent, hoping to get her out before the evening bursts. But Sheila has not arrived to cause a scene. Not yet. She came to plant a seed. She congratulates them with poisonous sweetness before leaning in close to Taylor and whispering something only the doctor can hear. About unfinished business, the last time she wielded a knife in Taylor's presence, and how certain debts never completely die. Taylor's face is drained of color. The rest of the party ignores them as the menace creeps into Taylor's bones like ice. From there, the horror develops slowly and systematically. Sheila begins to appear on the outskirts of their lives, outside Taylor's workplace, near the Forrester mansion, and even at the florist where the wedding flowers are selected. She never raises her voice. She merely exists on the outskirts of their lives, a constant reminder that she once shot Taylor and watched her die. Deacon becomes more protective, which only fuels Sheila's ire. After a particularly tense confrontation, Deacon arrives home to discover Taylor missing. A single letter on the kitchen counter, written in Sheila's distinctive handwriting, reads, "Some people do not deserve second chances. Or third ones.